Tonight, Barack Obama, with his pre-inaugural address, a 30-minute television buy on some networks. I thought, ladies and gentlemen, I would precede this with a pre-buttal to Obama, my own version of an inaugural address, if you will, or a campaign ad. We go like this. My fellow Americans, I come to you tonight a few days before an election only 6 days from now. These are monumental times. We face the worst economy since the Great Depression. People are losing their homes, their jobs, their businesses. Students cannot afford their college loans. Single mothers cannot afford daycare. Our schools are underfunded. Families are growing broke, paying for health care. And nobody seems to care, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody seems to represent the middle class. And the question is whether we want another 8 years of failed policies. I have traveled this nation. From the big cities to our small towns, I've talked to the assembly line worker in Detroit. I have talked to the farmer in Missouri. The working people of this country have had to bear the brunt of 8 years of neglect of policies that have favored the well-off and the wealthy. It is time to change the course of the nation, to work together to bring an end to the division that exists in our nation. That's what this election is about. Hope, change, the future. And so it is, my fellow Americans, that I urge you to reject Barack Obama and his cynical campaign for president. I urge you to reject the policies and the wording of the charismatic demagogue. Barack Obama condemns the United States Constitution, our highest law, because it does not empower him to redistribute the income of the middle class and give it to people who do not work. Obama condemns our judicial system, not because it's too liberal and too activist, but because it will not impose his left-wing policies by judicial fiat. Obama believes that the tax code should be used not to fund the legitimate purposes of government, but to massively expand the size and power of the federal government. It's time for change. It is time for the kind of change that has made this country great. And the change we seek, the change that matters, is change that expands our liberty, expands opportunities, expands wealth creation, and expands our horizons. It is time to celebrate capitalism, not demonize it. It's time to celebrate success, not punish it. It is time to ignite our economy, not smother it. Barack Obama speaks the language of the socialist. Barack Obama peddles class warfare. He peddles human envy. This is not what American leaders do. This is not what would-be American presidents should do. This is the tactic of the authoritarian, to create animosity, to create anger, to create fear, all for the purpose of undermining the strength and the unity of our society. Barack Obama comes from a long line of ideologues who puts the interest of big government above the interest of the individual and the interest of the family. He seeks to replace the American entrepreneurial spirit with government regulations and mandates. James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan all embraced the principle that America was a different place because of its respect for the individual. They did not talk about the government redistributing wealth. They did not talk about the government punishing success. They did not talk about the government re-regulating the economy. They did not say that paying more taxes was patriotic. They believed, as our leaders have always believed, that government had limits, so that the American dream would have no limits. They believe that each human being is unique, that he or she has the ability to do great things, if left alone, to pursue their own interests. They believe that ordinary people could accomplish extraordinary things. They rejected outright the authoritarianism that Barack Obama represents. They each swore to uphold the Constitution because they loved it, not because they saw it as a way to take power and subvert it. Throughout our history, our leaders have understood that private property rights are key to the survival of the individual. If you take his property, you take his livelihood. If you take his property, you attack his spirit. From the day our nation was born, the preservation of private property has been considered a priority of law. Barack Obama wants to use the law to destroy private property. This is what he means when he attacks businesses large and small, when he insists that there must be limits on what you can earn and keep and pass on to your family when you pass away. He wants the government to control your private property, your income, your assets. In other words, my fellow Americans, Barack Obama believes that when you go to work each day, when you save some of your money, when you write your will, the federal government can and must be involved in all of those decisions.